destroyed because of his movie, tends to corroborate a lot of things that he said. Will you find a couple of things that you say, this wasn't true or whatever? No, but the big picture is right.
So JR wants to know your thoughts on the mysterious deaths of reporters such as Dorothy Kilgallen.
What do I think of that one? Okay, well, that's the one I know of. So Dorothy Kilgallen was, a very popular television personality at the time. Did a lot of gossip columnists, but she was very professional and very thorough. And she, of course, interrogated Jack Ruby, right? She interrogated Jack Ruby, and she would have claimed that she could blow the case wide open, and she was going to. And then, the thing with her that's mysterious is, it has to do with her reading glasses. I forget exactly, I think she died without them, or she was near a book, and they said, well, there's no way she would have been reading that book without her reading glasses. Something along those lines, things of that effect. The other thing had to do with her makeup. There's something really strange in, mark it down as another really strange death. Now, again, if you go on Kennedy's and King and you do the search bar, you'll have excellent articles on Dorothy Kilgallen.
Next question. Do you think Marilyn Monroe was used as a honeypot for JFK, which might have led to her demise? Maybe she knew too much?
No, I'm trying to remember the name of the person. Again, if you go on Kennedy's and King, the person who's researched the Marilyn Monroe the most that I know of has completely debunked the relationship between Marilyn Monroe and JFK. How did he do that? Is he looked at their travel itineraries, and they only matched once. And apparently there may have been a fling in Bing Crosby's house, I think, or something like that. And that's how, but used as a honeypot, I don't think so. I think that he had many honeypots in that case. He's someone who was quite the womanizer. But he was a bit careless with that. Definitely there's some cases earlier on where he had a mistress that was involved in espionage, and that could have really harmed his career. But I don't think that's the case with Marilyn Monroe. And I can't say I'm a specialist on that, but again, go on Kennedy's and King and use a search, the search function to find the articles on Marilyn Monroe, and you're going to find this incredible author who Jim DiEugenio refers to, and is his go-to person when it comes to that.
Do you have time to answer a few more questions? I know we've just gone over an hour.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay.
I'm happy. I'm not often in England, so it's a pleasure to be there.
Oh, thanks. So JR wants to know, is it true that the front kill shot came after the motorcade was already past the book depository, which means that the shot couldn't have come from the book depository?
Okay, so I'll try and answer that. Is she referring to the headshot? That
the front kill shot is the reference.
Okay. Yeah. So here's what you need to do is right this evening go on YouTube and look at the Zapruder film. Okay, and you'll see the whole assassination. And the first shot you can notice is when JFK brings his hands to his throat. Now, it's claimed by the Warren Commission that that's a shot from the back, except that the doctors at Parkland said they were in entry room. Okay, so that would be the first shot that hit him, but it's not that visible. The second thing you'll see is a delayed reaction in Connolly. The governor was sitting in front of JFK being hit. So that bullet is what we call, is supposed to be the single bullet that injured both JFK and the passenger in front, Governor Connolly, who had 5 injuries because of that bullet, according to the single bullet theory. But you see by his reaction and by Conley's own testimony that that's impossible. And then you'll see the headshot about 1.5 to 2 seconds after. And that's where you see his head get hit and thrown violently back. So that shot there, if you look at the splatter analysis, because the splatter went out backwards, and you make a link between the splatter and the headshot, it directs right to the grassy knoll. You know, someday, if ever you visit Dealey Plaza, you will get an incredible, I mean, you'll see inch by inch. I'm exaggerating a bit here, you know, what the dimensions are. And when you see the dimensions, you go up to the 6th floor and you see what the motorcade looked like. And then you go to the grassy knoll and you see the angle there. It's so revealing. So, you know, I think the front shot definitely occurs after the motorcade passes the Texas School Book Depository to the point where Oswald would be behind for sure. And the shot that many people said they heard shots from the knoll. Now, some people did hear shots from the Texas School Book Depository. What likely happened was a crossfire, like probably at least three different shooters shooting from different angles. And that's why Dealey Plaza was perfect. If you go there, you can see the different angles where you can get the vehicle and Kennedy into what they called a turkey shoot.
So Bailey wants to know your opinion of Castro's involvement in the failed Cuban coup.
The failed Cuban coup? Okay, so, is it like, is she referring to the Bay Pigs, or?
I'm think sure. So. I think so, yeah.
Okay. Failed Cuban coup. Well, I mean, I don't know. You see, if she's referring to a coup against Kennedy, I don't think Castro was ever involved in an attempt to assassinate Kennedy. It would have been too dangerous for him. And, and there are no links to that. You can't find anything. Now, the failed Bay of Pigs, well, basically, he was, his spy, he had a spy network in the US, right? So he had many Cuban, because there are many Cuban exiles. After Batista was removed from power, a lot of the crooks, but a lot of people who didn't like Castro's policies, immigrated to the to Miami and to Florida, and there's still a large Cuban population there. So they go there, but within that group, there are spies for Castro. So he often knew about hits that would take place against them through his own little ring of spies, and that it would get back to him. So he probably knew that the Bay of Pigs was coming and was ready for it, and was probably surprised by how weak it was.
Question from Russell Neal. Don't forget, there's not just the grassy knoll. There's a gutter which had an escape route. What are your thoughts, Paul?
I spoke with Steve Jaffe, who was an assistant, and I met Steve of Garrison's, and he actually went in that gutter, and you can see pictures of him going in that gutter. And it's an interesting angle. I've seen the gutter too. I mean, I didn't go into it, but I've seen where it's at, and it's an interesting angle. I think that most people in the community don't think the shots came from there. At least there's, not sufficient evidence of that. If you look at where the evidence seems the strongest is the grassy knoll and the picket fence, behind the picket fence. I've been there too, and I looked at the angle, and how you would see the motorcade approach. Really interesting. But the key witness there is a guy called Samuel Holland. Samuel Holland was on an overpass in front of the motorcade with 6 other people. And right after the shots rang out, they saw smoke close to the ground coming from the grassy knoll and hovering over the street. And the passengers, I think even Jackie Kennedy, but Yarborough, I think, also was in there, smelled gunpowder. They smelled gunpowder, and they also, some of the people noticed the smoke there. So the most evident place really is, the grassy knoll. Other interesting thing, and it's an incredible picture. A guy called Tink Thompson. He looked at the Mormon picture. The Mormon picture is a picture Polaroided that was taken almost when the fatal shot occurred, and you capture the grassy knoll. And there's a protrusion over the fence in that picture, small protrusion. And there's no tree there or anything like that. And when Tink Thompson brought Sam Holland, he says, position yourself where you thought the shots came from. And he went right behind the picket fence. And his head created the same sort of protrusion that you could see in the Mormon photo. That's really interesting, and it might be a picture of the shooter. So I'm not talking about Badgeman or people who wear Badgeman. I'm talking about a protrusion there, and Tink presented that at Dallas during a conference. It was really really mesmerizing.
Katz wants to know if you think Jackie Onassis was naive.
Naive about who killed her husband? I think she was afraid. I think she was traumatized. I think she just wanted to escape, and she wanted to escape physically and mentally. And, I think that's what happened. Now, was she naive about what happened? Apparently in the book Brothers, she and Bobby asked the French, to tell them who was behind the assassination, because the French had spies in the U.S. also, because of the attempts on de Gaulle that were actually linked all the way to New Orleans. And, so I don't see that, but maybe I'm wrong.
JR is asking, do you have a total deaths attributed to the assassination?
Total deaths. Okay. Well, there's some guy, I honestly, oh God, there's one guy who wrote a book called Hit List. He's passed away. And he, I think, describes at least 50 deaths in there, that took place afterwards. And then there's another a person who did an actuary calculation on probabilities of the people who died related, to being witnesses or close to, the involved in investigations and all that. And he came up with some number that it was in the millions to one that many people could be assassinated. But, I don't know what it's based on. But we don't go there, in chokeholds, because it just sounds so unbelievable when you're talking to the layman that they're killing off witnesses. And if you don't want to lose your credibility from day one, you don't start with that. But you can bring it on a little later, when people start taking you more seriously.
Question from BD. What about spook Bill Harvey, who left his Rome office to fly to Dallas just in time for the assassination? Why were Harvey's travel records classified?
That is a wonderful question, and that's one of the documents Jeff Morley absolutely wants to have. I've actually found travel documents for Harvey in the files, but none for 63. And I found fitness reports, and they kept 53 against it. Now, I don't think he was there for the assassination. I think in the Devil's Chessboard, it's like a week before, one of his assistants from, I think, Rome, because he was exiled to Rome after the failed Bay of Pigs. The guy was reckless. He had sent, at the height of the missile, not the failed Bay of Pigs, after the missile crisis, he had sent operatives to Cuba, on missions, right when the tensions were at their highest. And RFK was furious. He says, get rid of him. Finally, he's exiled to Rome. And then in an airport, he is seen by one of his assistants in Rome saying, hey, what's he doing in Dallas, in the Dallas airport, shortly before the assassination. Don't ask me if they've been released, will be released. There's still a few documents left, 500 documents to be released. I would love to see them. And that's one of the documents. Good question. Because he definitely comes out as one of the people of extreme interest when you survey the research community, it's William Harvey who wrote ZR rifle. And if you ask a researcher like Dan Hardway, who was part of the HSCA, he sets his sights on people like David Atlee Phillips and William Harvey as people of extreme interest.
Susan wants to know, why wasn't Zapruder targeted? How did he get his film footage to the media?
Well, okay, so they did something in the case of Zapruder, right? They bought him out. I think, was it 150,000? I forget what it was. An astronomical, well, a huge amount. Sorry, I'm having trouble. But with for its day, his day. He because he Life magazine is got it, but they put it in a vault, so nobody could see it. It only came out because of the Garrison probe, where they subpoenaed it, and they gave him such a grainy version of the film that Steve Jaffe was sent on a mission to France, where he met the head of intelligence, and the head of intelligence got him a great copy. And that's how Garrison got it. That's in around 68. And then Robert Grodin, who did some technical work pertinent to photography in the film, made a secret copy of the film. And he revealed it on Good Morning America, in 1975 around. And that's when the whole US population saw it on national TV for the first time. And when they saw the head going backwards, they said to themselves, what the heck is this? So it is for them, and I think that really affected the HSCA and inquiries and everything. So that's what I can tell you about Zapruder. So in a way, by selling, his film, he shielded himself.
How many years did Rubenstein survive in prison?
Oh God! I mean, it was a number of years. You see, the thing with Rubenstein, right, is he tried to plead insanity, and that wasn't. He thought he'd get out easy enough, and he didn't. And so he was there. God, I'm trying to think, maybe 3 or 4 years. I may be wrong on that, but the key is that he was assassinated just before he would have had his appeal heard. So again, he would have become an interesting witness. Thing really interesting with Jack Ruby is one of his visitors was Jolly West. And Jolly West was one of these scientists involved in MK Ultra mind control. And it was after his visit that Jolly West said, oh, this guy is psychotic, and he's lost his mind. And then he had galloping cancer after visits from this CIA doctor. There's no doubt about it.
JR wants to know whether you think the Dallas police were involved.
I think certain members of the police force were involved. I'll name you a couple. One is Westbrook, and the other one is Croy. And these people were first on the scene, or involved in the Tippit murder, showing up there, and probably planting a wallet that they wanted to make disappear afterwards, because there was a wallet that appeared that was captured on film. But by then, Oswald was known to possess something like 6-7 wallets. He had so many bloody wallets that, what the heck is going on here? So this wallet, they tried to say, well, no, people are mistaken. It never existed, except it was captured on film. And Westbrook did get intelligence training, ended up in Vietnam. And, Croy's another very suspicious character. So I think there was, there were natural links between the CIA and some of the police forces. The CIA had an awful lot of penetration in many organizations within the US itself. And they had a network. And it's clear, even in the RFK assassination, the key investigators were, had training from the CIA also. So, yes, I think there's a couple of people that were involved in, planting evidence and dirty tricks, but I don't think it was the DPD, on a large scale.
Arthur's wondering about George H.W. Bush's role. Were the photos of him in Dallas on that day? A few people have asked about Bush as well.
Yeah. Okay. So what you know about George Bush here, which is strange, is Hoover. Like George Bush was quite young then, but he likely was involved in the CIA at an early age and was involved in the Miami crowd. And Hoover, there's a memo showing that Hoover asked to talk to George Bush right after the assassination. Now, the administration always claimed that that was another George Bush, but it's not likely. It's most likely George Bush, the president. The second thing is that he actually knew George de Mohrenschildt. He knew him. Okay, there's no doubt about it. And George de Mohrenschildt sent him a letter pleading for his help. He says, look, I don't know if it's because I spoke too much, but I'm being threatened. I'm afraid I'm going to get killed. And George Bush had to answer that letter, So so I'm giving you some, but there's no smoking gun link between. Now, another person that he was closely involved was a guy called Jack Creighton. Jack Creighton was one of the people involved in local security and local intelligence in Dallas during the assassination. So that's another interesting link. The most information you can get about a link between George Bush and the assassination, and the writer doesn't claim that as being a fact, is in the book Family of Secrets. Family of Secrets covers the Bush dynasty, and it's a very interesting book about that.
Did Jack Ruby buy the gun he used on Oswald from one of the Dallas PD detectives?
Did he buy a gun from the Dallas PD?
The one he used on Oswald?
No, I think it's a gun. I think it's a gun he owned. He was known to have a gun, and and he'd even carry it in his strip joint.
Have you ever been threatened for the work you do?
No, because I write my articles super quickly, and I get them out before I can get in trouble with them. But no, I haven't, because I'll tell you, we're part of a huge group, and I've never said the CIA as an organization assassinated Kennedy. I do think that people, you have some perhaps rogue people connected to the CIA, but as an organization, because when you talk about Dulles was fired by the time the assassination took place. Cabell was fired, and the people that we think may have been involved tended to be quite rogue. There, they were. William Harvey, he may have been in the organization, but for all practical purposes, he was put aside. So that's one thing. The second thing, no, I haven't had any threats, or I'll tell you this much. So we've seen our events, like I talked to you about when Oliver Stone came to Quebec City. We've seen some people try and torpedo our work, our books, and it's part of a playbook to attack critics to the Warren Commission. But I'm less worried about that sort of stuff 65 years away now. I think they have to worry about Donald Trump more than I do with respect to letting information out.
Paul, you've been very generous with your time, and you are a phenomenal speaker. You've took a extremely complex conspiracy involving tons of people and distilled it down to its most powerful elements in a very clear way. And I've just been sat here absolutely riveted. The time's gone so fast. And for viewers,
Sean, congratulations for your audience on their questions. So there's some really good ones there, and it's pleasure to be on your show.
Yeah, they're very tuned in, and the book link is in the live chat. It's in the description box, and you can follow Paul on X, and his website is there as well. So huge thank you, everyone. Is there anything you'd like to say in conclusion to the viewers?
Well, thank you for listening, and maybe check out what's written in your history books, and how do they describe the assassination if they do go into American history? If they say that it's a lone nut based on the Warren Commission. Well, they don't even know that there are 5 other inquiries that took place afterwards, and that is not the correct version that people should be presenting. So you should complain to the teacher and the Ministry of Education, the Department of Education. And, if you go on our website and you follow us on X, you're going to find an awful lot of the breaking news. We have a lot of things that will be probably new writings and new information coming out during this year for sure.
All right. Well, I'm going to let you go and I'm going to close the show.
Thank you, Sean.
But we'd love to get you back at some point in the future when there's more news. So you take care, my friend.
Okay, thank you. And you know what? I hope to be in Europe soon. I went to do a presentation in England last year at a conference, and it was a lot of fun. We did it in Canterbury, and then I went to London, and I might be going in May this year, but I hope if not, look for us on, you have a good group there called the UK Daily Plaza. UK Daily Plaza is a group of researchers from England that are researching, and they do good work.
Well, if you do get out of here, let me know, and we'll sit down with a cameraman and do a big old video with you.
Sean, you're in what city?
So I'm in Bristol presently, but I can access studios in London as well.
Oh, okay, great. I might do that.
All right. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Have a nice evening. Bye.
What a phenomenal guest, folks. And all of Paul's links are down there. If you go over to his X, send him some love from this channel. It incentivizes guests to come back. And if you want to read much more detail, get the book. I shall put it in the live chat again. If you're watching on audio platform, it's called the JFK Assassination Chokeholds, subtitle that proved there was a conspiracy. There's the link. So we have got Beverly, a remote viewer. She is live presently right now on this channel. Going to be talking about Diddy, Kanye, etc. This video will take you over there. And if you're wondering what we've got coming up for the weekend, we have got a new guest coming on Saturday night, and that is Zach Peter, who talks about entertainment news. He's going to be covering Meghan Markle, Diddy, Ryan Reynolds, Blake Lively. And I think we're going to have Paula M join us on that, and myself and my partner Jen. And we've got a lot more as well in the pipeline. People are asking about Charlie Seeger, part 3. We've just filmed it, and it's going to be up within 2 to 3 weeks. And people who are following the Charlie Seeger podcast, oh my goodness, his audiobooks. There's 4 of them. Killer, Hyenas, available worldwide on Amazon. Absolutely mind-blowing. My dad's a huge fan of all of the Charlie Seeger. He's an old-school Liverpool gangster. So thank you for all of your great questions. Like Paul said, and we will be back tomorrow with more shows. Take care wherever you are in the world. Thank you for tuning in. And